Looking out across a battlefield from an Anzac pillbox near the Belgian city of Ypres in West Flanders in 1917, when German forces met stiff resistance in northern France in 1914, a race to the sea developed as France and Germany tried to outflank each other, establishing battle lines that stretched from Switzerland to the North Sea. Allies and Central Powers literally dug in, excavating thousands of miles of defensive trenches and trying desperately to break through the other side for years, at unspeakably huge cost in blood and treasure. The main theater of fighting in World War I was the Western Front, a meandering line which ran from the Swiss border in the south to the North Sea. Most of the Western Front's 700-kilometer length traversed the northeast of France, with its ends in Belgium and southern Germany. The largest battles of the war, Marne, Ypres, Verdun, the Somme, Passchendaele and others, were fought along the Western Front. Though the death toll from Western Front battles will never be accurately known, at least 4 million were killed there. Despite the size, frequency, and ferocity of attempts to break through the line or push back the enemy, the Western Front remained relatively static until 1918. Many aspects of the Western Front have become symbolic of World War I. Mud-filled trenches, artillery bombardments, appalling tactical blunders, futile charges on enemy positions, periods of stalemate, high death rates, and atrocious conditions. The Western Front began to take shape in the autumn of 1914, after the German advance through northern France was halted at the Battle of the Marne. The Germans then retreated to the Aisne River, where they dug a network of trenches to consolidate and hold their position. The Allies, believing the Germans were awaiting reinforcements and preparing a further assault into French territory, reciprocated by constructing their own trench system. Over the next few weeks, both sides extended their trench systems further to the north, racing to outflank each other and to reach the North Sea coastline. Their aim was to prevent an enemy advance, to secure supply lines, and to seize control of key ports and French industrial areas. As the Allies and Germans carried out this race to the sea, a major battle erupted at Ypres in Belgium. At the personal order of the Kaiser, German generals launched a massive assault on the Allied line, using divisions of their most experienced infantry and cavalry, but the attack was repelled at the cost of more than 40,000 men. By the end of 1914, the Western Front trench line had grown to more than 2/3 of its eventual length. A French pilot made an emergency landing in friendly territory after a failed attempt to attack a German Zeppelin hangar near Brussels, Belgium, in 1915. Soldiers are climbing up the tree where the biplane has landed. German officers in a discussion on the Western Front. The man second from right, in fur collar, is possibly Kaiser Wilhelm, the caption does not indicate. The German war plan had been for a swift, decisive victory in France. Little planning had been done for a long-term, slow-moving slog of a battle. French soldiers in a bayonet charge up a steep slope in the Argonne Forest in 1915. During the Second Battle of Champagne, 450,000 French soldiers advanced against a force of 220,000 Germans, momentarily gaining a small amount of territory, but losing it back to the Germans within weeks. Combined casualties came to more than 215,000 from this battle alone. A downed German twin-engined bomber being towed through a street by Allied soldiers, likely from Australia, in France. 6 German soldiers pose in an in-trench with machine gun, a mere 40 meters from the British line, according to the caption provided. The machine gun appears to be a Maschinengewehr 08, or MG 08, capable of firing 450 to 500 rounds a minute. The large cylinder is a jacket around the barrel, filled with water to cool the metal during rapid fire. The soldier at right, with gas mask canister slung over his shoulder, is peering into a periscope to get a view of enemy activity. The soldier at rear, with steel helmet, holds a potato masher Model 24 grenade. Harnessed dogs pull a British Army machine gun and ammo. 1,914. These weapons could weigh as much as 150 pounds. German captive balloon at Equincourt, France, on September 22, 1916. Observation balloons were used by both sides to gain an advantage of height across relatively flat terrain. Observers were lifted in a small gondola suspended below the hydrogen-filled balloons. Hundreds were shot down during the course of the war. French reserves from the U.S. as some of the 2 million fighters in the Battle of the Marne fought in September of 1914. The First Battle of the Marne was a decisive week-long battle that halted the initial German advance into France, short of Paris, and led to the race to the sea. Soldiers struggled to pull a huge piece of artillery through mud. The gun has been placed on a track created for a light railway. The soldiers are pushing a device attached to the gun that possibly slots into the tracks. Some of the men are in a ditch that runs alongside the track. The rest are on the track itself. A makeshift caterpillar tread has been fitted to the wheels of the gun in an attempt to aid its movement through the mud. Members of New Zealand's Maori Pioneer Battalion perform a haka for New Zealand's Prime Minister William Massey and Deputy Prime Minister Sir Joseph Ward in Bois-de-Warnemont, France during World War I on June 30, 1918. A German prisoner wounded in Muddy, helped by a British soldier along a railway track. A man, possibly in French military uniform, is shown behind them, holding a camera and tripod. 1916. Dead horses are buried in a trench after the Battle of Halen, which was fought by the German and Belgian armies on August 12, 1914, near Halen, Belgium. Horses were everywhere in World War I, used by armies, and caught up in farm fields, turned into battlefields. Millions of them were killed. At Cambrai, German soldiers load a captured British Mark I tank onto a railroad. In November of 1917, tanks were first used in battle during World War I. In September of 1916, when 49 British Mark I tanks were sent in during the Battle of Flers-Courcelette. At a height of 150 meters above the fighting line, a French photographer was able to capture a photograph of French troops on the Somme front, launching an attack on the Germans. 1916. The smoke may have been deployed intentionally as a screening device to mask the advance. British soldiers on Vimy Ridge, 1917. British and Canadian forces pushed through German defenses at the Battle of Vimy Ridge in April of 1917, advancing as far as 6 miles in 3 days, retaking high ground in the town of Thélus at the cost of nearly 4,000 dead. French soldiers make a gas and flame attack on German trenches in Flanders, Belgium on January 1, 1917. Both sides used different gases as weapons during the war, both asphyxiants and irritants, often to devastating effect. French soldiers wearing gas masks in a trench, 1917. Gas mask technology varied widely during the war, eventually developing into an effective defense, limiting the value of gas attacks in later years. Gassed patients are treated at the 326th Field Hospital near Royaumai, France, on August 8, 1918. The hospital was not large enough to accommodate the large number of patients. British soldiers and Highlanders with German prisoners walk past war ruins and a dead horse. After the Battle of the Menin Road Ridge, part of the Third Battle of Ypres in September of 1917, the sign near the railroad tracks reads, possibly, no trains. Lorries for walking wounded at Château Potage. Cleaning up German trenches at Saint-Pierre-d'Evian. In the foreground, a group of British soldiers are sorting through equipment, abandoned in the trenches by the Germans when Saint-Pierre-d'Evian was captured. One soldier has 3 rifles slung on his shoulder, another has 2. Others are looking at machine gun ammunition. The probable photographer, John Warwick Brooke, has achieved considerable depth of field, as many other soldiers can be seen in the background far along the trenches. Men wounded in the Ypres Battle of September 20th, 1917, walking along the Menin Road to be taken to the clearing station. German prisoners are seen assisting at stretcher bearing. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like the video. If you want more content like this, you can specify it in the comments.